Okay, welcome to all that are in attendance here with us in council chambers this evening. There are a lot of you. And as well, welcome to those that may be viewing from home. This is a meeting of the Poquoson City Council. This meeting is for Monday, September 28th, and it is the regular session. If we can all please rise, I'll have the invocation to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for the many blessings we've received in our city over the past week. We continue to pray for the recovery of our young man, Nathan Ward, who was injured here within our city. We are thankful for those on the scene, including our rescue squad, attending physicians, school staff. Their knowledge and their professional handling of the situation was evident. We continue to ask for your presence, that it be felt by those in our military, especially those serving in foreign lands, and for their families that continue to keep the home lights burning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you've gotten the revised agenda, I want to talk about that for just a second. I moved the agenda around this evening because as I saw all the signs in the city, a lot of people wanted to come and talk to us. I will tell you why I moved it in that manner. As most of you that may have attended in the past, these meetings are very formal. They're set to be formal for us to conduct business in a very organized manner. They don't allow for conversation to go on between council and its constituency. What I did do, because we have a shortened agenda, I decided to put the agenda up front and to get your comments to us as close to when council can put out directives, which is at the end of the meeting. So that's why the reshaping of the agenda, so that we can hear from you, concentrate on what it is that you're saying, and then give out council's directives at the end of that. So that's the reason for the reshaping. Special presentation tonight, that's what we're going to start with. This is by Dominion Virginia Power. They're not just the people that send us our power bills. They are the people that help the city of Poquoson in other ways. Mr. Steve Erdux will come up and talk to us about a program that they have going on within the city of Poquoson and inform us on that. And I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you for coming this evening. And as well, I meant that sincerely. Thank you for all that Virginia Power does for the city of Poquoson on special projects, not just power distribution.
Thank you, Mayor Hunt. Mayor Hunt, members of council. Tonight I would like to present you a quick overview of Dominion's Strategic Underground Program.
Okay, it's up on the screen up there, but it's not on the
Power company issue.
The Strategic Underground Program resulted from legislation that was passed in 2014 that supports the conversion of overhead electric lines to underground. Although the legislation did not mandate that we convert these lines to underground, it has opened the door for us to identify the most outage-prone lines on our system and strategically underground those lines. Dominion's been conducting reliability studies and to determine which underground overhead lines throughout our system would require undergrounding. As the most outage-prone lines are identified, we will work with the property owners to remove the overhead lines and place the underground lines in place. These lines are typically tap lines, not main feeder distribution lines like you've seen in your main arterials or outside substations. They're tap lines that run through neighborhoods, for example. Our goal is to reduce the number of outage repair locations that our crews have to go to following a major storm, therefore reducing the duration of outages for all of our customers across the system. These stars show 25 locations in the city of Poquoson that we're considering for undergrounding. Not all of these may come to fruition. However, it represents around 6.5 miles of our overhead distribution system that we may be undergrounding as we work through with the residents and the property owners. Just to give you some scale, annually across Dominion's Virginia service territory, we anticipate undergrounding an average of around 250 miles. So it's quite a bit across our territory each year. Support from property owners is essential for this project. As we look through and we work with the property owners to design and construct each project, it's important to note these are voluntary projects. We're not going to force an underground program or an underground project on any property owner. We plan to place our facilities on private property, so we will require easements from the properties that we're crossing to place our facilities legally. We will need all the property owners along a proposed route to agree with the project in order to move forward and underground that specific project. We've also developed adapters, which will allow us to take overhead services to these houses or residences and place them underground so that we can get the entire area undergrounded. We will communicate with all of our customers routinely and throughout the duration of the project. We'll utilize outbound phone calls, letters, door hangers, and face-to-face contact as we go through the duration of these projects and communicate with all of these customers. I'd like to give you a few details on the construction process. Prior to construction beginning, we will notify Virginia 811, formerly Miss Utility, to locate all the public utilities that are along our route of installation. Additionally, our vendor will work with each property owner, and it'll be our vendor's responsibility to identify all the privately owned utilities that are along the path of construction as well, so that there won't be any damage to those private utilities that are not located by Miss Utility. We will use a trenchless installation method called guide drilling. We will install conduits and cables 30 to 36 inches below the surface of the ground. This will reduce the impact to the properties because the vast majority of this work will be done via a tunnel method, not through any open trench. We'll install pad-mounted transformers and pedestals when needed. When you saw the stars up on the map, probably thought right away, especially after the last 72 hours, some of these areas are subject to flooding. And one of the things we will do is work with the city staff and our engineering staff to ensure that we identify the areas that are subject to flooding, and we take whatever actions are necessary to avoid those flooded areas or to install facilities in a manner that won't be impacted by high water. We have invested in risers, elevated pads for our transformers so that we can get an extra 30 inches or so of height on the transformers if needed. We've also invested in flood kits for our pedestals that will waterproof those kits to avoid damage from any brackish or salt water that would intrude upon them. We're going to use contractors to obtain our right-of-ways and to do some of our construction and some of our design work, but there'll always be a Dominion representative available to answer any questions or to interact with any property owner or anyone who's interested from the city departments. My staff that handles Poquoson, Wade Potter's our project manager, joined me tonight. Heather Montville's our communications coordinator. And Brian Horsley wasn't able to make it tonight, but he's our technical coordinator who works with the engineering staff and is one of our engineers. And he's assigned to the projects in the Poquoson area. So, thank you for your time.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve, and I apologize for butchering your name, Steve Haro.
That's okay.
But this is actually a good segue into something that I was going to talk about this evening. And so what you're really explaining to us as citizens of Poquoson, and something that we need to be paying attention to, storm preparedness, something that we saw a little bit of again this past weekend with flooding. But this would actually help us harden our city against tree damage, against the things that we experienced with Isabel. So this is something that we welcome, along with the steps that we're taking. As you can see, we're doing lots of things to get ourselves out of the lower elevations to the higher ground, as well as to basically raise our buildings and our maintenance facilities within the city and many, many households. So this just fits right in with what we're talking about. So thank you so much for coming and explaining that to us. And I think it's great that you're looking proactively at that. So again, thank you.
Right. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and I'll ask council for consideration of those minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of our regular session of September 14th, 2015.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments of council? If none, Vicky, please.
Certainly. Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Bernal?
Aye.
Councilman Ayer?
Aye.
Councilman Seth Hall?
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, in the work session?
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the work session of the same day.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we adopt those as well. Any questions or comments by council? None. Vicky, please.
Certainly. Councilman Seth Hall?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Bernal?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Ayer?
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Next item is under unfinished business, and here we have two ordinances, and these ordinances, the first one is an ordinance accepting ground lease of city property for cell tower site on City Hall Avenue. And I want to let council know, and if there's any questions, you can defer them to Wayne. But on the ordinance itself, in section 1, there's a wording issue where it talks about the ground lease of one initial term of 5 years with 2 5-year extensions. That actually should read with 1 5-year extension.
That's the second ordinance in your package.
That's the second ordinance in the package, I'm sorry. Okay. So with that said, we had a public hearing on this last meeting, but what I would like to do is we had the first reading of the bids. So Judy, is somebody prepared from staff to? Teresa, you want to come let us know kind of the specifics going through the bids, high level, good deal, bad deal?
I can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Only one bid was received for this particular ground lease, and it was from the existing tenant, or the existing leasee over there. It was for six renewals, a one-time $5,000 renewal payment, and a one-time rent increase at the end of the current lease. And that is in addition to the 20% renewal increase in the rents each additional 5 years. The 6 renewals, the city's only authorized to do 5 years, so we did have to reduce the bid to 5 additional and not 6, and so the ordinance does reflect that change.
Okay. And what's the approximate rent on this thing per year?
Right now, we're getting $12,000 annually, and because we do get co-locator rents, that's about $20,000 a year, so about $32,000 a year right now.
Okay. Council, you have any questions?
I have a few questions. We put this up for bid prompted by a letter that they were wanting us to, they wanted to renew this, correct?
They wanted to extend the lease, yes.
Is there a reason why they're wanting to do this? This is like 3 years in advance, correct? Because their lease is up in 2018? Do we know?
No.
Do you know if 3 years in advance is usual to be
Oh, I think
working
it's,
on
I
this?
think it's more. I think it allows them to market the tower to co-locators. They're
Okay.
willing to put their equipment on there and having to
Okay.
invest their equipment on the tower.
Okay, and then my other question was, when we advertised the public notice, it looks to me like we advertised for continued use of it, which means only they could continue to use it, which means we were really opening it up to them rather than opening it up to any company to use a tower. And I don't know if that is what we intended. Did we intend to only open it up to?
No, the continued use of the ground to have the tower on the ground. It's their tower.
You're doing a
So-
ground lease to their existing tower on the ground.
Or anyone else that
Not
wanted to put a
tower itself.
tower there, the continued use of putting a tower there.
This is the ground lease, not the tower.
Not the tower lease, the ground lease.
So the way that we advertised it, Wayne, was indeed asking,
I thought it was, anybody could have come in. We didn't limit anybody from coming in and bidding.
okay, that was my question, was that we had not limited it to really just one person inadvertently.
We did not.
Okay. And then finally, I guess my question was mathematically, what are your thoughts? What are your personal thoughts financially looking at these numbers in, getting the 5,000 up front and investing it?
I did not look at investing the $5,000 up front to, it's, I think it's good. I mean, I mean, the question is,
Taking, well, as opposed to renewing it at the current lease that we have, the current.
they're
deal
just
that we
giving
have
us
with them.
$5,000 and to renew it.
Right, but they're reducing the amount that we would get.
No, they're not. They're not reducing anything. They're not reducing any amount that we're getting.
They changed it from,
Instead of,
it was increasing at a rate of,
and it will continue to increase at 20% at each renewal. They're giving us an additional 10% in May of 18, as well as an additional $5,000 at the signing of the lease.
So basically, you're getting a bonus to redo the lease, and they are also increasing the amount of increase that you get per year.
Just the
Or
one
per-
time.
per term,
For the first
one time.
one time. Yeah, we're going to get an
Again.
additional 10%
On about,
once, and then 20% on top of that each year, each 5-year period.
okay, so we would get the 20%.
Yes, they're not taking away the
okay.
20%. No, ma'am.
Excellent, okay, thanks for explaining that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anything else?
Are there room for additional co-locators on these towers?
I'm assuming that there is.
And every time we pick up a co-locator, we pick up additional revenue?
We sure do, 50% of what they get on it.
Okay.
I think most of these towers can handle 4. It's got something to do with the height of the tower. The lower it is, the less reliable the connection is. I think that the basic number is you can have 4, a total of 4 on each tower and be secure in the repetitiveness of the service.
Does any of this has Legacy commented on this at all? Do we know? The Legacy project people? Does this affect them at all?
No.
They're gonna be all around it now?
The tower is existing today
Right,
within the boundaries,
and this isn't changing anything?
correct.
Okay,
It's not really within the boundaries, it's on city property.
right.
Teresa, did I understand you to say that in section 1, instead of saying the bid extending the lease for 5 additional 5-year, that should say 1? Or is 5 correct?
The ordinance is correct.
This ordinance is correct. It's the next one that
The next one, I
Okay.
jumped the gun, I thought I heard him say first one.
Okay.
I marked up the second one and then turned right to it, sorry.
Gotcha.
All right, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance of the city of Poquoson, Virginia, for the extension of the lease of publicly owned property located on City Hall Avenue.
Is there a second? All right, motion made and seconded that we approve this ordinance. There are other questions or comments of council? Seeing none, Vicki, please.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Councilman Air.
Aye.
Councilman South Hall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. You can go far, I hope, because the next item on here is an ordinance accepting a ground lease of city property for the cell tower site at the Public Works compound on Municipal Drive. Do you want to go through the highlights of that as well?
Yeah, this one's a little easier. This would be a new ground lease that would start at the end of the existing lease that's already there. It is for 1 5-year period with one additional 5-year term under the same conditions, the same 20% increase at each 5-year renewal, the same 50% increase in co-locator rent, which brings, right now, we're getting almost, it's $17,000 worth of annual rent and approximately $72,000 worth of co-locator rent at this point.
Okay. Pretty good. So between the two towers, about $100,000 a year?
Yeah, we have 3 of them. Between all 3, it's about $140,000 a year.
All right. Before I ask for a motion, with the motion, do they need to
Yeah,
make the change?
in section 1, the very first sentence, it should, at the very last word in that sentence should be changed from 2 to 1. There was only 1 5-year extension included in this lease. And that was my mistake. What happened is the bid was for 1 5-year renewal, but the lease that they sent us had 2 5-year renewals in it. The lease came before the bid, so when we were putting this together, compared it to the lease, picked up 2, went back and read the bid. They only bid for 1. They probably wanted 2, but they only bid for 1, so we can't give them a better lease than what the bid was that they sent us. So changing it to 1 is the correct way to improve the ordinance.
Okay. Is council prepared to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance of the City of Poquoson, Virginia, leasing publicly owned property within the city's Public Works compound on Municipal Drive with the change in section 1 to read 1 5-year extension.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. Any further questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question of Wayne. Would that not have changed that date in that paragraph as well, where we have August 21st of 2033?
You know, I don't know, because I haven't calculated whether that was the correct one or not. Just a second, let me take a look. I may be able to figure it out.
That August 21st, 2033 is at the end of the first lease.
Yeah, that's the existing lease.
That's the existing lease.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion made and seconded. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, Vicki, please.
Certainly. Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Air.
Aye.
Councilman South Hall.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, very well. Under new business, we have 2 items this evening. First is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for financial advisory services. And I believe that would be the same financial advisory services that have
That we currently
fared
have.
so well with Davenport and Associates.
Davenport and Company, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, for 1 year, a 1-year contract with them to expire in December of 15.
Is there any question? If not, before, I'll make a comment about Davenport if y'all would like, but is there any questions about using Davenport again? Okay. Is there a motion that we do this?
Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for financial advisory services with Davenport and Company LLC as amended.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. The comment that I wanted to let everybody know about Davenport, and they're not here to blow their own horn, so I'm going to blow their horn for them. They are the company that when we took their financial advice and we aligned our policies and procedures the way that they asked us to, that the net result in the realignment of our debt resulted in the city of Poquoson being the smallest city in the state of Virginia having a AAA bond rating. And what does that mean to the citizens of Poquoson? What that means to you is we were able to basically redo all of our debt, a lot of it higher interest rate, and save about $1 million a year on our debt services. So that's why I say, this is Davenport, I'm assuming, because you can see that we really respect and trust what they tell us. So that's all I wanted to say. I have a motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Okay, if not, Vicki, please.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Ayer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
The final item under new business is a resolution making an appointment to the Peninsula Agency on Aging. Is somebody prepared with that motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move adoption of a resolution making an appointment to the Peninsula Agency on Aging with the insertion of the name Patricia D. Green, which is a reappointment, currently serving in that capacity.
Second.
Okay, I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with that. Thank you, Councilman Bernal and Mr. Vice Mayor. Questions or comments? Okay. What a great job. All right, thanks.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Councilman Ayer.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Abstain, I believe I'll notable.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote by 6-0 with 1 abstention.
Okay, so now we've reached that point, and you can see why I said that the agenda should be brief. So now we're at the section of the agenda for audience for visitors. I understand we've had some sign-ups. I don't know what I've done with the sign-up sheets, so put them here somewhere. Find them in just a second. But while we're doing that, I want to remind everybody a few things about talking about the Walmart, which the vast majority of you signed up to discuss, and asking you not to repeat yourselves over and over and over again. If somebody makes a statement that says, you know, we don't want Walmart here because of this, simply stand and show that. We all understand, I mean, we're not blind, we see the signs in the city. Some of us do Facebook, some of us avoid it like the plague. But, you know, it's okay not to repeat yourself because we all know why we're here. With that said, first and foremost, we do not like to limit speakers. But a lot of you have signed up to, if I gave you 5 minutes apiece, that would be almost 2 hours. Okay? That's if I gave you a time limit. Well, wait a minute. Okay? And we're prepared to sit here as long as you want, but understand that we already got, we understand the message, but I want to put out a few things for you to understand before you deliver some of the things. First is that we understand at least one councilman has been asked about the possibility of doing an emergency ordinance, an emergency zoning change that would allow the city of Poquoson to require councilmatic approval of any store greater than, say, 15,000 feet. I'm paraphrasing. So I asked, you know, that is beyond the norm, so I asked for legal counsel on that. And I want Wayne to kind of go through what is possible within the statutes of the state of Virginia before you come and ask us to do something against those statutes. So Wayne, if you could go through that.
Sure. Basically, to do an amendment to the zoning ordinance, there are 2 series of laws that we have to follow. Our own ordinances, which we have passed, and state law, which also tells us what our authority is. The city of Poquoson gains its authority through statutory law, authorizing us to take certain steps. And zoning is one of those things that the state has authorized city governments to control. and then there are a series of statutes that control that. In order to amend a zoning ordinance, the ordinance has to go to a public hearing before the Planning Commission. Planning Commission has to consider that amendment to the zoning ordinance, the effect that it has on the city. And also, then the City Council has to hold a public hearing and then determine how that zoning ordinance fits into the overall comprehensive plan that we have for the development of the city and sort of the rules and regulations that we have in place. So there is no such thing as an emergency ordinance. You could not tonight pass an ordinance changing the zoning ordinance. It would have to be done through that particular administrative process.
Okay. All right. So that being said, I just wanted everybody to understand that, you know, that's what the laws of the state of Virginia say, not the laws of the city of Poquoson say. So we're going to have to pay attention to those. Other than that, I found my list, and we will do the Walmart group first. And I'm going to start with Jana Andrews.
Hi, my name is Jana Andrews, and I speak tonight as a resident of Poquoson and a registered voter. I want to thank the City Council for taking the time to hear our comments. I really do appreciate it. And I wanted to start by thanking the city employees who have been polite and kind and helpful anytime I've called to ask questions or to get information, and they should be commended for their professionalism in all of this. A lot of time and money has gone into the comprehensive plan and the business analysis update, which I've read, which I think are excellent documents for our city, and I think they're exactly the vision of how our city should proceed over the next 10 years. The comprehensive plan itself and the State of Virginia Code in Section 15.2 states, the fact that the comprehensive plan is advisory does not mean that the recommendations and findings can be cast aside. The comp plan refers to the independent business development analysis, which was paid for by the city of Poquoson, which states things such as maintain the small town character of Poquoson, unique within the adjoining urban area, attract businesses that complement and not compete with existing businesses. The type of economic development desired should be directed by the citizens of Poquoson, and I quote from that, most importantly, the blank walls of big box businesses need to be avoided along Wythe Creek and in the big woods. The processes that consider these important documents, specifically in the case of the current neighborhood Walmart grocery store, now exist as follows, based on the conversations that I've had with Dave Callis and Debbie Vest. Based on the EDA's charter and bylaws, it enters into sales agreements selling taxpayer property with no requirements to review or approve the site plan and no requirement to consider the comp plan. Secondly, the Planning Commission is responsible for reviewing the site plan, but also does not have to review the comp plan in its assessment. It only has to go by whether it meets all the laws and ordinances of the city. The City Council, I feel it's your job to make sure that the city is evolving the way the comp plan says that we are supposed to be evolving. But you have no authority or approval authority over the site plan or the sale of the land. So the way things stand now, there's no checks and balances in that system. The people approving the site plan don't have to consider the comp plan, and the people who are supposed to consider the comp plan don't get to approve the site plan. You are the elected body of our city government. It is your job to ensure development is happening in accordance with our comp plan and in the best interest of the city and the citizens. The comp plan in Section 15.2 of the Virginia Code states, without implementation, the plan is just that, a plan. Development must be based upon proposals that are substantially in accord with the adopted comprehensive plan. It is important that regulatory documents reflect the purpose and intent of the comprehensive plan so that the Planning Commission and governing body may influence and shape growth of the community effectively. So you, our elected officials, have the tools, the documents, and the guidance that have told you what to do, yet it hasn't been done in the past 4 years since the comp plan has been completed. So I would ask that you act now to put in place those ordinances or conditional use permits, whatever it may be, to give you, the City Council, the proper review and that are in accordance with the comprehensive and business plans that you paid for. I would request, as Mayor Hunt said, that if it's possible, that you add to the agenda either tonight or a future agenda consideration of a special use permit that would be required for buildings over 15,000 square feet, so that this situation that's occurred with a development this large in a city this small gets approved without you being able to require an economic development study or a citywide traffic study, or to even look at the plan and see if it conforms to our current comprehensive plan. This development will forever change the face of Poquoson. We will no longer be a bedroom community unique to the surrounding urban areas as our current comp plan states. As our elected officials, you must enact whatever measures it takes to ensure this neighborhood Walmart development not go through without a public hearing for citizen input, an economic impact study, a proper citywide traffic study, and review and approval by you, our city council. This is the first of many ordinances that need to be done to ensure proper studies, approvals, and citizen input goes into new development in Poquoson per our comp plan and the Virginia Code. I've lived in this city for 18 years, and I've raised my children here. I pay more for my house, I pay higher taxes, I have to worry about being flooded. But I'm willing to pay that premium to live here because I love this city, and because when I cross that bridge coming into Poquoson, or I cross Carey's Chapel, it looks different, it feels different, it is different. If Poquoson is going to have heavy traffic due to uncontrolled development and big box stores like Walmart that shut down our local businesses, and I can no longer tell the difference between York County, Hampton, and Poquoson, why would I pay a premium to live here? Thank you.
Okay, Janice Pell.
Excuse me, I need to borrow a pen from Ms. Judy. My I've
got an extra.
Good, so that means we got 2 speakers left.
Good evening. I want to echo Jana's comments and accolades for the city staff who truly have been very helpful. Judy, the staff in your department have been great. Vicki, we appreciate all you've done. Dave Callis, others in the planning department have been wonderful as well. I am going to speak a bit to the comprehensive plan, even though Jana did, but I think it's important to reiterate why. In 2009, Poquoson City Council officially approved the 2008 to 2028 comprehensive plan designed to guide decisions on land use and development in the city. It was developed through the collaborative participation of the community, the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, City Council, city boards, commissions, committees, and city staff. The plan recognizes that retail development is an important economic development option and that there was a significant opportunity for Poquoson to support a tailored version of a lifestyle retail center anchored by a specialty grocery store. Walmart is not a specialty grocery store. In 2011, the city further contracted for a business development analysis to guide the city's economic development activity. And this analysis identified the need for the city to implement the recommendations of the comprehensive plan, maintain the small town character of Poquoson, attract businesses that complement, not compete with existing business, emphasize quality more than quantity, and enhance the community character. The proposed Walmart does not meet the City Council's mandate as contained in the comprehensive plan. The proposed development ignores the plan, it ignores the participation process, and ignores the plan's stated vision for Poquoson. And the citizens of Poquoson deserve better than a 42,000 square foot Walmart. As citizens, we have the right to expect our elected officials and city staff to implement the community's vision as contained in our comprehensive plan. If the market for a lifestyle center, as envisioned in the comprehensive plan and in the business development analysis, really doesn't exist, truly doesn't exist, then proof needs to come from an outside source, independent of what the city's own economic development staff and volunteer economic development authority says. In accepting any proposal that includes a retailer of the size and character of Walmart, the city's planning department, economic development department, and EDA have failed in their obligation to be stewards of this comprehensive plan that was approved by City Council. If this project moves forward in violation of the comprehensive plan and the community's trust in our elected and appointed officials, then those responsible should be removed from their duties as well. If the comprehensive plan really doesn't work or truly doesn't fit the economic realities of today, then we must go back to the drawing board and begin again. Anything less than that is a violation of the public trust.
Shannon Dalrymple?
I didn't get your name.
Hi. Sorry, I'm not going to sound quite as educated as they do. I'd like to start by saying I'm a little upset about the way this deal has come about, how things were changed. All of a sudden, things seemed a little sneaky. So the deal between our EDA and Crest was done haphazardly and was irresponsible. The reasons for this are laid out in our comprehensive plan and can be seen economically as well. The fact that our leaders have allowed a developer to bypass any vote or public hearing is reprehensible. I would encourage City Council to go back to the drawing board and create an ordinance stating that any building over 15,000 square feet be voted on by City Council with a public hearing. The reasons for this are as follows. In the foreword of our comprehensive plan, it states, since the plan is intended to guide decisions with land use and development, all, in capital letters, interested parties should review this document when determining a property's potential use, from potential developers to the individual property owner. This document has been created to demonstrate the desired pattern of development and conservation throughout the city. The EDA should have to look at that. It should have to be considered. No one, including the EDA and City Council, knew what the developer wanted to build. This is a direct violation of our comprehensive plan. How can we review the document to know if it's in accordance with the plan if we were unaware of what was being built? Nobody knew before the contract was actually entered into. Furthermore, Section 15.2 of the Code of Virginia references the legal status of the plan and specifies that once the plan is approved and adopted, it controls the location, character, and extent of the features shown on the plan. Future development must be based upon proposals that are substantially in accord with the adopted comprehensive plan or part thereof. Once again, a contract should not have been formed without the knowledge of said project. It is plain irresponsible and tiptoes around the line of ethics. The section titled Comprehensive Plan's Relationship to the City reiterates this fact yet again. While the state of Virginia requires each locality to prepare a comprehensive plan, the state establishes the legal status of the comprehensive plan as an advisory document to serve as a guide and one of the many factors to consider on zoning decisions. It is not a regulation like the zoning ordinance or other regulatory documents. The plan guides decisions of the governing body, Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, and the city government by providing the vision, goals, objectives, and implementation strategies. However, the fact that the comprehensive plan is advisory does not mean the recommendations and findings can be cast aside. Again, Section 15.2 of the Code of Virginia references the legal status of the plan and specifies that once the plan is approved and adopted, it controls the location, character, and extent of the features shown on the plan. Future development must be based upon proposals that are substantially in accord with the adopted comprehensive plan or part thereof. The comprehensive plan also states that a good fit for Poquoson would be niche shops and specialty grocery stores. It also mentions a lifestyle center. It states that when bringing in business, we need to have businesses that do not compete with existing ones and contributes to our small town atmosphere. Also, looking some stuff over today, I don't know all about this, but there is a PUD that states that any building over 15,000 square feet have a conditional use permit, including those by right developments. This would allow for our council and the public to be heard on such an important matter. The comprehensive plan states over and over again that it must be considered and that local officials review plans. In this portion of the Big Woods, or if this portion of the Big Woods is not covered under PUD, I would strongly urge council to change that. The PUD and our comprehensive plan are more important than a sneaky company trying to bypass the system, and more importantly, the public they claim they will serve. By allowing this developer to give the city the runaround, we have completely disregarded the comprehensive plan, which has been given legal status by the Code of Virginia. The comprehensive plan must be taken into consideration as it is a vision for the successful growth of our city. I fear that in not following it, we are opening up a legal can of worms that cannot easily be undone. Our city has bit off more than it can chew with this development. It will cost us more annually than it may bring in, and is in direct violation of our comprehensive plan.
Okay, Alan Moody.
All right. After all that, I feel woefully underprepared, but we'll give it a shot. I dare say that no one is more qualified to speak how the majority of Poquoson citizens feel about this pending Big Woods development than those of us that went door to door and sat outside Farm Fresh and gathered signatures opposed to this. I myself, along with my wife and family, door to door, over 200 signatures just for us. There's about 30 of us doing that, and I can tell you it's a vast majority of people are against this. I'm going to read to you what they signed. We, the undersigned citizens, residents, and business owners of the city of Poquoson, Virginia, vote against the Walmart neighborhood market. We are not opposed to growth. We welcome businesses that will contribute to the city of Poquoson, not take away from it. We are concerned for our traffic, existing businesses, and local economy. We ask that the City Council of Poquoson, Virginia, deny any request that would allow the construction and existence of Walmart neighborhood market in the city of Poquoson. Now, things have changed a little bit since we started this process. One reason why we're all here tonight is we don't really know where this project stands. We're here to let y'all know that, and we want y'all to communicate to us when you can, as soon as you can, what's going on. Now, I would like to share that going around door to door personally has been a rewarding experience, as I'm sure it is for the other 30 or so that have done it. We've gone door to door. We've had people invite us to church. We've had people invite our family in to talk. They welcomed us into their homes. Most of the time, I don't even have to go up and knock on the door because neighbors are calling other neighbors down the street to let us know we're coming. And I'm amazed at that. I've had people come and say, I've been waiting for you. It's about time you got here. And all of them have been appreciative and thanked us for our work in bringing this to everyone's attention, even those that are for Walmart. I went around door to door, I'm speaking for myself, to let everybody know and to try to clear the air because there's a lot of miscommunication going on, a lot of misinformation out there. But with that said, with all the good that's happened, I would want to share some of the bad. Some of the bad that's happened when I was going around is I want y'all to be aware that I came across families who are new to this community who point blank told me I would not have moved here if I knew this development was in the works and coming. I hope that hits home because we need people here. We want people here. The other troubling news that I got, I'm sure y'all are aware and y'all have heard this. This is already a done deal. I refuse to believe that. That's why I'm fighting. That's why I'm here. That's why the people behind me are here. I want each of you to put that statement to rest. And to do so, we need you, the City Council, to vote on and enact a city ordinance that will allow our voices to be heard. Now, Mr. Mayor, I know what you said. I know what the council said, the city attorney. I want you to do it, and I want you to do it legally, whatever it takes to get it done, whether that's a special meeting, whatever it takes. All I am asking is the City Council passes an ordinance that matches the comprehensive plan that you've heard so much about. Passing an ordinance that limits all new business to 15,000 square feet. This may not stop a big business from building here, but it will allow the citizens to have a voice, and it will allow y'all, the City Council, final say on whether it's a good fit for our town. Checks and balances that she spoke of. I believe in this system, and y'all have a choice. You can do everything you can to give the citizens a voice, or you can do nothing, sending the message that our voice doesn't matter. Thank you.
Okay, Mary Kay Weston.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Weston, and I've been here long enough to remember when we had to drive all the way down to Mercury Boulevard to find a supermarket to shop at. Farm Fresh took a chance on us and came out here. And now we're talking about letting Walmart come in and cutting the legs underneath them. Food and medicine are limited products. Households are only going to buy so many prescriptions and so much food. We have two fine grocery stores that have served us well, that support the community, that support the schools. Also have the military who's used the commissary. We do not have enough to support 3 large grocery stores. And what will happen, because Walmart will be able to back theirs and undercut either Farm Fresh or Food Lion, or maybe both of them, will have to leave. You all know, you've heard, there have been books written about how when Walmart comes in, the small businesses lose, and small towns are turned into empty storefronts. We already have empty storefronts here. We really don't need any more. The other trend that's bad with Walmart is currently there are 200 empty Walmarts. They've come in, destroyed small towns, and then when there wasn't enough business left or somebody came in to compete with them, they pull out. Except for a roller rink, I don't know what you would do with a store like that within our city limits. I'm kind of sorry I spent 2 days reading the comprehensive plan because these ladies were so good at it and I won't talk about it anymore. But the point is, surveys were sent to everybody in the city. Lots of the citizens spent a lot of time on that comprehensive plan. And now it appears that the EDA, and I wish somebody would explain to me what this semi-official organization is, they require only a quorum of 4. So we're talking about 3 people, unelected officials, being able to make these decisions that then planning and you seem to go along with. The EDA, when we got the message from the mayor about how much we were spending in interest on the loans, I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder how much we own in the big woods. How much has the city bought? Do you all know we have spent $3 million
Yeah, Mayor.
on the property?
Right, we're just address council.
On the property.
We'll address everything that you're
in the
writing.
big
We're going
woods.
to address.
Now, you've made some financial errors. Everybody pretty much agrees that looking back on the finances of the city, that we probably were a little extravagant with the firehouse and the new elementary school building. $22 million, I believe, was spent in 2 years for those 2 buildings. I think Dr. Vernal built the primary school for 4. Now, it was a little earlier, but I don't think that things went up that much by inflation. What I am worried about is, again, the sad attitude that the young man presented. I've been told, don't bother to go, because it is a done deal. I don't know if it is, because we don't know what the developer's going to do, and evidently he's the one that takes the lead. It would seem if they're pulling around with this, the city still owns that land. We just don't have to sell it to them. We've also heard that, yes, we've sold them property before and we didn't make them stand up to environmental. Now there's another land someplace. We don't know. And that's been part of everyone's frustration with the city council and the planning committee. The Daily Press says, oh, the mayor didn't answer the phone calls. The city manager says no comment. There was one sentence put up that says, oh, the developer is withdrawn and is going to look into doing such, period. No explanation what that is. We all had to go search for it on our own. I used to feel that the city council and all the volunteers on all the commissions, we were all working together for our town. The attitude that's come up now is that there's all this secret little stuff going on behind, and somebody knows this and somebody knows that, and that the people that are supposed to make the decisions for the city, you're supposed to be for us. And now we're starting to feel like you're against us. People are having to fight to get their messages out. And I'm sorry, I don't come out much anymore, but I felt strongly about this that I had to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, George Ford.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thanks for allowing us to speak tonight. I'm not going to be redundant. I won't repeat myself. I won't stay up here for 5 minutes, but I would like to address a couple of issues. One, the traffic. We've got a 2-lane road out there, and I'm not sure if anyone's aware, but this would be the only Walmart neighborhood market in the entire state of Virginia on 2-lane roads. Now, this is a major evacuation route outside of Poquoson. We've got 12,000 residents here, and a lot of us remember Isabel, lived here through it. A lot of us remember what happened this weekend with the high water. When it gets real bad here, how are we going to get 12,000 people out with 2 additional traffic lights, 500 homes on one side, and a Walmart on the other? One of my other colleagues up here mentioned a little bit earlier about a petition. That's what I want to talk to you a little bit about tonight. Mr. Mayor, I took your advice. Last council in August, it was a little excitable, and you said, please get involved a little bit earlier. Educate yourself, and that's what we're trying to do. The majority of the people that you've heard speak tonight are part of an organization that was born right after that city council meeting called Concerned Citizens of Poquoson. And exactly the way Mr. Moody explained it, we knocked on doors. We spoke to our residents, our neighbors, people we've grown up with, people I've lived in this town with for 30 years. Had no idea that Walmart was even a twinkle in someone's eye. And I understand that we have some major revenue issues in this town. I feel for you. I feel for our firefighters, our police officers. But if we have such revenue issues, why are we going to spend $14,000 on a comprehensive plan and throw it in the trash? That's essentially what we've done to it. Now, I agree with what Mr. Moore said. We're not going to wave a magic wand and change policy up here tonight and put new policies in place that can impact something that comes on in the next 30 days. But you can do it anyway and impact something that's going to come down the road in 60 days. If this doesn't happen, let's stop the next one. Or if it does happen, let's make sure there's not another one that comes down the pike as well. There's no policies in place that protect the comprehensive plan. This wasn't our idea. It was the city's idea. We partnered with you guys on it. We listened to your surveys. But to be told that we can't send surveys out or invitations of people to come to city council to discuss a Big Woods project or a Walmart project because the city can't afford to mail it, I have a hard time swallowing that. Because you guys absolutely have no problem mailing me my sanitation bill every month. I got an idea, slide it in there. Just my thoughts. All right, real quick, I want to give you some numbers real quick. This is only 2 weeks old, okay? We've got 2,600 signatures on this petition right now. You're more than welcome to take a look at it if you like. Now, you might be thinking there's 12,000 people here. Only 6,000 people voted in the last presidential election in this town. 2 weeks, that's not too shabby. And exactly what he says, we're knocking on the door and we're talking to folks, and here's what we're finding. It's about 9 folks that are against it for every one that's for it. And I think that anybody in this room that's for it tonight, please come forward and speak. You have a right to be heard as well. And they've got some great points. The city needs revenue. The city also needs to learn how to save a little bit of money. Thanks for your time.
Okay, Kathleen Guthrie.
Hi, Hi, just want to say thanks for letting us have a chit chat. Anyway, dang it. I'm opposed to a Walmart neighborhood market in Poquoson. I do not see the economic benefit for our community. We have 2 major grocery stores as well as 3 pharmacies. All I can see in the long run is a shift in tax revenue and very little new revenue. The comprehensive plan was designed to have new business coexist with what we have. I want economic growth as long as it makes good business sense, and I don't see that happening here. Another major concern I have is on the traffic. Recent proposals to widen our roads for a hurricane evacuation route was turned down by VDOT. With no proposal by the developer to widen the street, does the burden fall on us taxpayers? Another concern of mine is that there hasn't been enough environmental studies done. I'm concerned about the rainwater runoff that would spill into our wetlands, and would it back up into our neighborhoods that typically do not flood? Not having these independent studies done to evaluate the impact that this would have on our city would be negligent. And that's basically all I got to say.
Thank you. Hey, Mark Andrews.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Mark Andrews. I've lived in Poquoson for approximately 18 years. I'll never forget the first time I drove through the city and how it reminded me of some of the small New England fishing towns I visited as a child. Having young children at the time, I was also drawn to Poquoson by the quality of the school system and the safe environment the city portrayed. After all, how many other cities do you find nowadays where there are essentially only 2 ways in and 2 ways out? A natural crime deterrent if I ever saw one. I grew up in the Northern Virginia region at a time when it was considered in its infancy, prior to the mass development seen today. My family was a major player in the development of Loudoun County back in the late 80s and early 90s. We developed, alone or in partnership, over 8,000 acres in Loudoun County. So I speak from personal experience in regard to this situation. I'm not anti-development. It's through development we can better our community by increasing and diversifying its population, resulting in the ability to promote and sustain both commercial and residential development through which we gain the greatest benefits. However, development needs to be managed in order to sustain a community. Poquoson is unique geographically. I maintain there are only 2 ways in and 2 ways out of this city. Others are quick to point out there are actually 4. Technically, this statement is true. However, the reality is there are only 2 ways of ingress and egress, and they are what I term choke points. You've got the Wythe Creek Bridge, and you've got the Carey's Chapel, Yorktown Road, Victory Boulevard intersection. Over the past year, the city has approved 5 development projects within the city of Poquoson. On their own, each project may not seem as though it adds much burden to the transportation networks of Poquoson. But when combined, it becomes obvious the City Council has allowed a system of gridlock. Based on the Institute of Traffic Engineers' methods for calculating traffic impact, these 5 projects will contribute approximately 7,500 vehicles per day on the local roads, all leading in and out of the only 2 points of ingress and egress. This is a prime example of uncontrolled growth at the detriment of a city so highly regarded as one of the top 10 places to live in the Commonwealth of Virginia. A city where people want to live because its small hometown feel and bedroom community vibe. I don't believe you can or should even want to stop growth, but you definitely need to manage growth or you will give up all the qualities that make the city of Poquoson an ideal place to live. It is because of the unique geography of Poquoson that every proposed development within the city limits should be required to perform a traffic impact study to show the overall impact to the city and not just the immediate area of the project. Again, 2 ways in, 2 ways out. Unlike almost every jurisdiction in the region with multiple routes of ingress and egress, again, Poquoson sets itself apart. Only 2 ways in, 2 ways out. When what the local community refers to as the Walmart development first became public, the emotional dynamics were interesting, ranging from simple hatred of anything related to big boxes to anti-growth and everything in between. Over the past few weeks, it has become a divisive issue, with the lines of division being the citizens of Poquoson and their elected officials. Throughout the process, you've been saying the issue is out of your hands, that you have no choice in the matter. It kind of reminds me of the lyrics to a Rush song called Free Will. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. You always have a choice. Tonight, it's simply a matter of whether or not you decide to make the choice to listen to your constituency or just sit idly by and do nothing. I think now is the time for the City Council to make a choice that I believe will have long-term political implications for each council member. It is unconscionable to me to think the City Council would allow themselves to be in a position of having no say as to what type of business can locate in the city, the location of said business, and its impact on the economy and the infrastructure. Therefore, I propose the City Council immediately begin the process to enact an ordinance requiring any structure greater than 15,000 square feet to require a conditional use permit. I would also request the City Council enact an ordinance requiring all development projects within the city limits to require a traffic impact study rather than simply a site-specific impact study. Again, 2 ways in, 2 ways out. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. T.N. Emerson.
Comments will be conveyed, it's already been stated. I would like to say that my canvassing, I got the same remarks as already been stated.
Okay, thank you. Natalie Cannella.
Hi, I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. My name's Natalie Cannella, and I would like to express my thoughts on the proposed Walmart. I am from Poquoson and the 8th generation in my family to live here. My family has chosen to live here all those years because we love this community. Sorry, I'm a little passionate about this. I'm not against change or development. That's the furthest from the truth. But I felt compelled to speak about why I am so passionate about not wanting Walmart. I've done a lot of research and know that Walmart's business practices and numerous EPA violations are not consistent with what our city is about or what we want to represent Poquoson. When I spoke to a couple of council members about this, I was told that we can't say no because of their name. And I say, well, yes, you can. We do have a choice. You need to listen to your citizens and request an ordinance be added to the next agenda to keep all construction over 15,000 square feet must require City Council approval. Currently, there are no checks and balances when it comes to the EDA and their agreement power with developers. There are no consequences when the city does not follow their own comprehensive plan. And lastly, you do have the right not to enter into an agreement without full disclosure of who the company is, as I was told that you did not know, and you could not ask. You are the city officials, and you must act in the best interest of your constituents. Just know that this development, if it goes through, there will be an increased traffic, delay of emergency personnel for traffic accidents, delay of emergency personnel transport to hospitals for stroke and heart attack victims, loss of tax revenue from other existing businesses, and thousands of dollars of taxpayer money required for the city to update the infrastructure needed for water drainage, just to name one issue. City employees, I have heard that they think that they will get raises or extra personnel if this new tax base comes. That is no way that the City Council can promise this or even possibly make that statement a reality. Lastly, with this, most important and passionate of my opinion is that we will not stay on the top 10 list of the best cities in Virginia, and we have worked very hard to be on that list. I would love for my children and future generations, to know the city that I love as much as we all do. Please help us keep it a place where people want to live and move to, not from. I am Bull Island born and Bull Island dead. And when I die, I want to be Bull Island dead. So please, without a Walmart, okay? Thank you.
Okay, David Foster.
Good evening, folks. I am prepared, even though I don't have a piece of paper sitting in front of me, because I want to talk about feelings. I moved here in 1982. I brought my family here, and while I can say I never worked in Poquoson, I always worked outside of Poquoson. Poquoson was my home. 14 years ago, I went to work for the city of Virginia Beach. I lead a team of IT engineers. I deal a lot with the city council in Virginia Beach. I deal a lot with the 34 different department heads. As I mentioned, I live there, or I've been working there for about 14 years. I have seen, as I drive down Princess Anne Road, past the amphitheater, getting to the municipal center, I've seen it go from fields to four-story complexes like we have coming up with Legacy. I've seen shopping malls come in. I've seen shopping malls basically die. One of the things in my field, we have a lot of regulations. We deal a lot with PCI compliancy, other security regulations. You can never regulate everything. You can't put an ordinance in place for everything. People do comprehensive plans. They do business analysis. They do that so that you can get a spirit, you can get an intent, you can get an understanding of what the citizens and what the council and what everyone involved, what they want. The folks that have come before me have talked a lot about specific regulations, specific state regulations, specific paragraphs inside of analysis, specific paragraphs within the comprehensive plan. All of it portrays an intent. It portrays an intent to keep an atmosphere within Poquoson. We all understand, and I see this a lot in Virginia Beach, you need progress, you need growth. But you need growth to come in, you need to invite growth in that's not going to take out your current businesses. We have people here that put businesses in place. Sal's, for example, they've been here almost as long as I've been here. Other stores have been here. We've seen a lot of businesses leave. The strip mall across the street from George's, it's been empty for I don't know how long. Restaurant was in there. There were, yeah. The restaurant was in there. There were consignment stores in there. They just can't compete. If you continue with the idea of not maintaining the small business, or excuse me, the small atmosphere that we have here, you're not following the intent. The intent of the people is to keep the mindset of this area the same. We can have new business. We can bring in new business. We can increase our revenues. But we can do it in a way that complements the businesses we already have. Thank you.
Okay, Sky Ellenwood.
So I don't speak to you as a researched person in the city of Poquoson. I speak to you as just a layman's view. I chose to move to Poquoson 10 years ago. The military brought me here. I love it. I was a small town girl when I was little. I loved the small town feel of Poquoson. I have a layman's view of having a Walmart come to the small town feel of Poquoson. I chose it because of the schools, the safety, and being able to drive in one of the two roads and just have trees on all sides and not 4-story buildings and huge commercial areas. I view Walmart as the exact opposite of those values. It brings traffic to Poquoson we don't need. It'll bring crime we don't need. And I will not have the small town and safety I so wanted for my children. I see the signs on the marquees in town and advertising about keeping your business in Poquoson. Yet you want to bring in a big store like Walmart and drive those small businesses out of town? Is that what you, as the city council, wants the future of the city to be? The longer I live in Poquoson, I hope that my children can grow up. My youngest is 6. I would love for her to feel that she could stay here and build her own family. However, I fear with the city bringing in Walmart, what will be left? A ghost town of what it used to be?
Hey, Jonathan Hirsch.
I'm going to keep my comments brief. My position has been adequately covered by previous speakers. I would just urge City Council to take any action that is within your power to do to prevent a big box grocery store development within Big Woods.
Thank you. Okay, Susan Burnett.
The overflow room. Susie Burnett, Paul's Burnett.
Right here.
Right here, right here.
Welcome, Susie.
You're going to hate it. I just wanted to say ditto. I mean, all my notes, everything that I wanted to say has been said, so sorry.
I like that. Thank you. Karen Lynch.
Good evening, members of City Council. My name is Karen Lynch, and I'd like to personally thank those members who took the time to email or meet with me all my numerous emails. And to those that didn't, well, you know who you are, and I'm not going to have my feelings hurt. I'm here tonight to speak to you on a very serious matter. In reflecting on last meeting where members of our community spoke against the Legacy Project, some members seemed angry with the community uniting and questioning decisions. Some stated we were too late with our pleas and asked where we were a year ago when this process started. Others had concerns with the builders changing the height and the variance. Unfortunately, you as a board voted to pass the Legacy Project, even though some of you had concerns that it was not 100% the way you wanted it. Well, tonight, I am here to ask you to put protections in place so your concerns can be addressed and the decisions affecting our city remain in your control. I urge you to immediately enact the ordinance requiring all buildings greater than 15,000 square feet to require a conditional use permit. By taking the necessary steps Mr. Moore stated, you put control back in your hands. As a member of our incredible community, I know each of you have concerns with the long-term health of the city's economic viability. By enacting this ordinance, you allow yourself time to gather information, time to gather the public's opinion, time to gather facts, time to ask questions, time so you can make a well-educated decision. The way it is currently written, our city council is not even in the approval change. This has to be an oversight. How could they leave you out? Other small towns across America have band together with city council and kept Walmart out of their city. Concerned citizens are asking for your help. We can't do it alone. It can be done. Tonight, Mr. Moore stated his words about what has to be done, and he provided us with hope. It can be done. It is not and should not be a done deal. Thank you.
Hey, Georgiana Bauer?
Good evening. My position has been clearly stated by others, but I just wanted to relay a conversation I had with my sister. My sister lives in a small town in Maine, and they got bamboozled and had Walmart come in, and they have lost almost all of their small business. And I implore you not to bring Walmart into our town and destroy the small town community that we have. Thank you.
Okay, Kelly M. Roberts.
I really wasn't expecting to speak, but I put it a little bit together. First of all, thank you, Council, Mayor Hunt, for letting me speak, letting the residents speak up. It has been the best experience that I've ever had living here, being able to out petition for signatures from the community. I've met so many great people. I've heard opinions both sides that are valid. I have been able to take my 8-year-old son out. I sat at Messick Point about a week ago and had kids coming to me, can I sign a petition? Can I sign a petition? They want to say, and that's our future, but it's so great to see the involvement of our kids right now. I have kids, neighbors' kids asking me, can I go with you to petition? We don't want a Walmart here. We're different than every town around here, and we like to keep it that way. We're not saying we're not open to build, and I'm not going to be redundant. I am asking what we would need to do as citizens, or what we could beg of you to do to amend the zoning ordinance. What would we need to do to request a public hearing from, I believe, the Planning Commission, as well as the City Council, a public hearing as well. I hear stories of a time that City Council meetings, everything was open, there was no secrets. I had someone tell me what I know my citizens know. I hear meetings used to run over in the parking lot after hours. People wanted to be involved. Now people have no idea what's going on. How did that happen here? Why does the EDA get to say, but our City Council doesn't? Our citizens have no input. What was supposed to be created as a unity, and thank God so many people support that we don't want a Walmart here, has also created division. To some people, it's like talking about converting to a different God. People are so worked up. I mean, it's nice to see people so sparked about something other than football here. I mean, no offense, but my God, people want to get involved now, finally. But why did it take all this? Why the lack of communication? Why didn't people know? We get tax notices. We get everything else. This was huge, and every one of you from here knew it was going to be huge, because in your heart, it does matter to y'all as well. So I'm asking to do whatever it takes to give the citizens and you all a chance to create the community that you set out to do in the comprehensive plan to begin with. This does not follow our comprehensive plan. Thank you. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I do have one question that I was given to ask by numerous people that we would ask to be answered by the end of the night. I would like City Council to answer this question at some point before the end of tonight's meeting. Did City Council have a closed session meeting with the EDA that provided City Council information on this development? And if so, did Council encourage, support, and/or agree to allow the EDA to move forward and enter into contract to sell this land to the developer? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Amanda Philbeck.
Hi, my name's Amanda Philbeck. I'm sure y'all remember me from the last 2 council meetings. First of all, I just want to say thank you publicly to Mr. Freeman for helping us solve the issue we had that was brought forth to council last week. It took less than 2 weeks, and he worked hard. He worked real hard at finding a solution, and he did, and it's fixed. And my neighbors and I are now safe, and I really appreciate that. Now, that leads me into the Walmart. Knowing that y'all can work really hard to solve problems if you really, really want to, if y'all can work hard, which I know you can, to solve problems, you can find a solution. And I don't know if it's the ordinance, because the ordinance it might not be too late by the time that ordinance goes through. But y'all can find a way. My main problem, well, not the main problem, but one of the big problems I have is the environmental problem with Walmart. And actually in the Chapter 4 Economic Elements, Section 1, one of the goals, it actually states that we do not do business with businesses and developments that are environmentally insensitive. Now, again, like someone else said, that we've been being told that, well, we can't say no to Walmart based on their name. Well, it has nothing to do with their name. It has to do with their background. And I would like to tell you a little bit about their background environmentally. A little less than 2.5 years ago, the Walmart had to pay $81.6 million to the EPA for violating the Clean Water Act. They were pleaded guilty to 6 counts of illegally handling and disposing of hazardous material in retail locations across the United States. And hazardous material includes bleach, pesticides, fertilizers, feminine products, pharmaceuticals. They were put into municipal trash cans and poured into the stormwater drainage system. Now, today Walmart will say to you, oh, well, we have this training program now, and that prevents that. Well, guess what? They had that before, and they canceled it in 2006. And they only started again only because of the problems they had with the EPA. So we really don't know how well or often these employees are trained. And in my opinion, Walmart is too big to properly regulate any program they have shown to feel was unnecessary in the past. So I really urge you to keep this in consideration. I actually printed out the FBI articles that state exactly what I said about Walmart and their dumping violations. Now, this is a big concern of mine, because if this happens here, it will destroy so much. It'll go into our waterways, it'll kill the wildlife, plant life, and marine life. Now, if it's in our comprehensive plan that we don't do businesses with, especially the poster child of bad economic behavior, which is Walmart, then we should not be doing business with them, and it does not align with our comprehensive plan. And I urge y'all to work as hard as Mr. Freeman did to find a solution to stop this, because I know you can. Okay? I'll leave it.
All right. Let's see, Tracy Kennedy.
Good evening. First, I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come and speak, and for all this fantastic support. I grew up in Poquoson. I guess I'd still be considered a move-in according to Bull Islanders, but I lived here when there was no stoplight, there was no Farm Fresh. That's how long I've lived here. My first job was at Farm Fresh. I didn't really truly treasure Poquoson until I've gone around the world and lived places, and you realize how special Poquoson is. It's a family environment. It's wonderful. I really want City Council to think about what we have, because sometimes in life, you don't realize what you have until it's too late, until you lose it. And the thing with Walmart, it will completely change the environment of our community. And once it's changed, you can't go back. After college, I lived in a post-communist country. And it was a very exciting time because things were changing. They had this energy that we're having right now with this movement. And people were charged and they were excited. And they talked about what it was like to live under a communist regime. Things were hidden, people were watching, they didn't have freedom, they had to meet in secret and talk about things, and things were done covertly. And I'm not going to speak on behalf of anyone else, But I feel like things weren't transparent, and it's better when there's light to things, that you know, what the citizens know what's going on. And I think as a citizen, I have to take responsibility and be more active and not just, okay, everything's going to stay the same, because it's not. And I was supposed to talk about traffic, but that's already done because I got here late. So I'd just like to end with this. One of my favorite quotes from John F. Kennedy: "When written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. The first represents danger, the second represents opportunity." I hope City Council will take this opportunity to realize what your citizens are saying. We elected you to represent us and what we want. That's the wonderful thing about a democracy. And I hope that the citizens will take the opportunity to work to become more involved in our community, not just football and school, but actually growing the community in a happy, healthy way that benefits us economically and socially and keeps the wonderful family fiber that we have here. So thank you very much.
Okay, Phyllis Mapes. Phyllis Mapes?
She's not one that wanted to be deleted.
Oh, okay, sorry. Pete Peters?
People here know me, and a couple of people have criticized me that I would weigh in between free enterprise and government. If you look at the shopping centers in this area, and I'm a mutter or a come here or whatever you want to call them since about 2000, but this old mutter has looked at an empty building sitting across the street for a couple of years. Can't rent it. One over here, can't rent it. Empty. This gentleman is in retail like me. I don't think these shopping centers are crushing the retail market by a long shot. A previous city council blew a good opportunity. And you might say I'm a little greedy and selfish. I want the tax base to do good. I'm not going to say whether or not you build a Walmart, Kmart. I don't care. Do something good for the city. And I'll give you some positive alternatives at the end. You had an opportunity years ago, not all are the same people, to build a complex on Wren's Road that would have added to the tax base. Didn't happen. That failed. In this case, in 2 or 3 years from now, or 10, as the founding fathers and mothers of the city are guided, let's look back in history. What's going to happen with this retail space when you have a desolate store over here called Food Lion and an empty shopping center? Because you guys are not crushing the retail market. Your floor space is at the minimum. I already talked to one in this area. So putting more retail makes no sense. But I will compliment you as the founders of the city. Your schools are the best in the state. There is an opportunity to use this property properly. How about a VOTEC school? I talk with young people today. Even though the guy in the White House says he wants free college education and all that great stuff, let's talk about it. Many people today are afraid to get into the debt of college. What are these kids doing with the great schools that you built in Poquoson? And they need continual education. I hate to pick on Henry, but he and I are both in the retail business, and I know he likes to get things financed and customers to come into the store. What is the biggest problem you face today in retail? People, employees. Why don't you use your city property to a good use? Build a VOTEC school. Bring in from the minority community and use the property properly. Help your community, develop, and bring people to your community. Also, I hate to say it, I got a few gray hairs. I'm in the baby boomer generation. You have a lot of old folks in this community. They need retirement. Use your property properly with a tax base. Similar to what would have happened on Wren's Road. Wealthy, empty nesters bring in a lot of money, and they demand very minimum services. Today in government, common sense doesn't exist. I hope that you will apply common sense. And I hope that when I leave here, some of my friends will still say I'm a capitalist entrepreneur, because I'm asking you to weigh in as the guiding force in the city to referee this and leave the tax base in a good situation, not with an empty couple stores. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Okay, that's everybody that had signed up to speak for Walmart. All right, we had one speaker, Randy Trestale, that wanted to talk about something else. I don't even know what it is.
Talk about anything, right?
Yes.
Mayor, City Council, I just wanted to take a few moments to talk about the legacy project because I was not here. And I have reviewed most, well, I don't know most, but there was a little glitch in the videotape. I tried to review most of the City Council meeting and I looked at the minutes. And I was pretty disturbed about the number of acres of wetlands that are going to be destroyed in the project. And the term destroyed wasn't quite used enough, and that might have been confusing for people, but basically the 9.7 acres of wetland on the Legacy project will be destroyed. So this wetlands will be destroyed on site. Now, the term that was used in the meeting was called mitigation. And so apparently the wetlands will be reconstructed in another area, maybe like the Middle Peninsula or something like that. I didn't feel like there was enough weight, or from what I read in the minutes or what I saw on the video, there wasn't enough emphasis, or that just wasn't stressed enough of how much 9.7 acres of wetlands is. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of land. It's basically massive. It's like 7 football fields. And that's just the wetlands that's destroyed. In addition, there's another like 17 acres that will remain there, but be impacted with all the impervious surface that's surrounding it. So those wetlands will be stressed. And I don't really believe that mitigation of wetlands by constructing wetlands, possibly like up on the Middle Peninsula, will do our community any good. I think our wetlands need to remain intact and to be of service to our community, for flooding, for trees, for wildlife. So there will be a tremendous amount of trees and a tremendous amount of land disturbance. I mean, it just boggles my mind how many trees are going to have to be removed from that land, and the wildlife disturbance, and it's Poquoson, as the gentleman who was talking about the spirit of Poquoson, and I think what gives Poquoson a sense of place for us is our wetlands and our wildlife and the beauty and the birds. And I think it's going to be painful for all of you as well as all of us. When the trucks start coming in and we're losing all the trees and we lose the benefit of those wetlands. And I'm really disturbed. I'm losing sleep at night thinking about the wildlife that's going to be displaced and the huge land disturbance and the potential flooding and problems that we have. And I really feel like, with all due respect, I feel like it was a very unwise decision to go along with this legacy. And it was unwise of us citizenry not to get involved early, too. So I guess my only hope is that our regulatory agencies, the DEQ and the Army Corps of Engineers, will have the wisdom, maybe a little more than we have had, and just look at the project and just get a bird's eye view and say, this is massive and this is too much.
Okay, thank you all, and that was very well done audience for visitors. I compliment the public. Again, I really appreciate the fact that you didn't just come up with anger, but you came up with good points. Thank you. And I've got a host full of notes here, but the next item on the agenda is actually the comments of the city manager. So we'll start there, and let me start by saying this is the comments of our assistant city manager, Judy Wiggins, and I know that Councilman Freeman did a lot on that dog, and I appreciate that. But this is your hero right here, okay? This is the one who worked out the, using the existing laws to have the person basically put out of the home using the existing laws and got the dog removed. So, I'd like to say that council, all of council, basically wanted to see the existing ordinances work, and they did. All right, so want to make sure that kudo goes to her as well. Although I didn't mean to take it from you. Okay, I didn't mean to take it.
No, Judy and Chief Police did it.
All right, so with that said, comments of the assistant city manager.
I don't have any comments except that it feels strange sitting in the seat tonight when I'm always sitting at the other end next to the city attorney. But I do want to compliment Vicki. I think she's done a very good job sitting in for me tonight. And it's nice to be here. I've sat here a couple of times next to the mayor, and appreciate all of you coming out tonight. I did think all of you spoke very well. We got a lot of notes and a lot of things to think about, a lot of new ideas coming from you tonight, and I think that's really good. And I'm really happy you brought the dog situation to our attention. Only way we can handle problems in the city is if you call us and let us know that one exists. And then we will do our very best to try to find a way to resolve it. And with the help of all of the agencies involved and with our city finding a way to actually not condemn the home, but make it uninhabitable, we were able to resolve that problem. And so feel free to call the manager's office at any time with any question or any problem that you have, because we're there to serve you, and it gives us delight when we get to solve a problem.
They really do like it. So I've never seen so many people excited to actually hear some of the things that we don't have time to do. They like solving your problems. And let me give a word out and a shout out to the city manager. Randy is out this evening. He's out in Seattle, Washington, basically doing IMIA, and that is because there was no planned, we scheduled that conference on purpose for the night that we knew we wouldn't be talking about something controversial. How about that? How'd that work out for you? So anyway, with that said, he asked me if, should he stay, and to be quite honest with you, this training is something that we need in our city. So I had wanted him to go. So now we are at council directives, and who wants to start? I'm going to start down there with Bud.
Well, thank you. You might be sorry. First, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. It's helpful. I wish this room had been this full every council meeting I've been here. This is the beginning of my second term, and it's nice to have the citizens play a part in their government. In a previous life at NASA, I was in charge of running the technical operations of all the wind tunnels, laboratories, and utilities at the center. And someone made a comment that there's no common sense in government, okay? I think it was Pete Peters that made that comment, okay? And I will agree with that 100%, okay? I think I'm a person who believes in very little government, and I think you need as little government as you absolutely have to have. On occasion in my previous life, I was given an assignment to do something that made absolutely no sense, used up a whole lot of people's time, cost you taxpayers a lot of money, but it was a Washington directive. Just like this city council gets Washington directives all the time, state, federal, all the time. Most of those directives come without money. And when I would get something like that, I didn't know what to do. And I knew that the people that worked for me were not going to like it. And so I sat down and emulated a previous president. He had fireside chats. And so I called my people together and said, hey, got something to do, and I absolutely have no idea how to do it. And I didn't like it either, but somehow, through the help of those people in the room, we got through it. Now, what we're going through here is hard. It is very hard. But it's with the citizens of Poquoson we can get through this. It's been said that we want to attract businesses that agree with a comprehensive plan, not get those like some other store. Now, I'm not going to mention store names because I might set myself up for a lawsuit these days. Okay? And I don't want government to be able to say, you can open a grocery store, but you cannot. Now, we talk about Poquoson in the old days. I'm well qualified to do that. I can tell you about Poquoson 66 years ago. I can tell you when Little Florida Road did not get to With Creek Road. And if you wanted to get out of the east end of Poquoson, you had to drive down Little Florida Road, make a turn up Smith Street and out Alpha's. And if you wanted to go the other way, you had to go down Poquoson Avenue, out Yorktown Road, and through most of a road that isn't even used today. And not many of you probably have shopped at Sammy Moore's store or Sally's store. You know what happened? Farm Fresh came to Poquoson. By God, they did. Sammy's store is still there. Hadn't been operated in a long time. Neither has Miss Sally's. It's a residence now. And I can remember sitting in the Johnny house at Grandma's in December, having the snow blow through my back, through the cracks on my back, and hearing my aunts and uncles saying, they're going to put sewer in here? I don't want any sewer, don't need it. Well, we changed. We did get sewer, and if they were here today, they'd probably not change it, wouldn't want to go back. We've had a lot more changes than most of you in this room even know about. They brought With Creek Road, Little Florida Road, all the way to With Creek Road, by golly, and destroyed my hunting grounds. They surely did. A lot of you might have houses in that area now, and I'd rather have my hunting grounds. In 1961, when I graduated from Poquoson High School, I went to school many days with loaded shotguns in my trunk. Because after school, we went duck hunting, okay? Sorry if I offend anybody who doesn't like to hunt. I don't do it anymore either. I don't like to hurt anything, okay? But when I was in school in 1961, I used to duck hunt. Went to school and carried my guns. You know what kind of news that would make today? You know what, in the 1980s, my sons went to Poquoson High School. And they went there with loaded guns in the trunk. And nobody ever thought of harming anybody or doing anybody any harm. Now, the social media says lots of things. And I've heard some of it tonight that we don't care. Well, I do. It's easy to type things in a keyboard, especially when you don't have to look the person in the eye. I've been accused of getting rich off of this. And the last question is, who was it asked? I think Kelly Roberts asked a question about whether or not we met with the EDA or anybody else relative to this current project. The answer is absolutely, positively, 100% no. And there have been lots of nasty things said
without basis and without merit that were totally untrue because it's easy to type into a keyboard. Now, I'm going to tell you that this is probably the most open and honest city government in the state of Virginia. Nothing has been done in quiet, and I really like having you here tonight. And I agree with a lot of things that's been said here tonight. I really do. I can't say that I agree with everything, but I agree with a bunch of it. But this is not a simple yes or no decision. It goes beyond that. There's lots of negative things that have been brought up. Where a particular large store be put across the street. And that concerns me, and so does the traffic. But I'm concerned about those things because I know they're going to affect that city even more. And you know what? Should they not build it here and they go just across the city line and do it there, every one of the negative effects that you talked about tonight will still exist. The traffic will still be blocked up, only it'll be blocked up at that intersection up there instead of 500 feet down the street. It will still impact their stores, and it may cause them to get empty. You know, and I don't want that. I'm going to tell you I don't want that, okay? I don't know what the impact would be were they to build a store up at that corner up there, but I can tell you the traffic would still impact Victory Boulevard coming into Poquoson, and if you drive in from Route 17 or if you drive in from Jefferson Avenue, it's still going to take you an extra long time to get home. And that concerns me. It concerns me if they did it in York County. It concerns me if they did it in the city of Poquoson. We tried to get other business. The EDA went out to try to get other businesses. And some of them said, well, yeah, we'll come. Give us the property and build us a building. We don't have that money. Pete Peters made a comment, said, why don't we build a VOTEC school? That is a great idea. I would much rather see a VOTEC school over there. But somebody has to get the money and pay for it. We're not talking about a couple $100,000. We're talking about millions. And I got some emails that said, just raise their taxes. We don't care about the business company, just raise their taxes. Well, let me tell you about some 80-year-old citizens and people in that situation who have been retired here for many, many years, who are deciding from paycheck to paycheck whether or not they're going to have groceries, their lights on, or buy medicine. And you say, just raise taxes. You're going to drive them out of the city of Poquoson? Oh, we don't care. We'll pay our taxes. We can afford it. There are people out here who can't afford to raise taxes. And I'm not interested in running one single soul out of the city because we're just going to raise taxes there because we don't want any more business. I would like to hand-pick the businesses that come out here. Well, I'll take that back. I wouldn't. The government should not do that. This is not easy. It's hard. And I sincerely hope that everybody that's in here tonight and in the other room or watching TV will be here at the next council meeting and the one after that and the one after that. And when they have planning session meetings, okay, go to those and get in on the ground floor from the very beginning because we got taken by surprise on this too, okay? No, we didn't meet with the EDA about Crest Development coming in here. I heard that someone had offered to buy the property, and that's one of the things. We tried to get a whole bunch of people come here, and nobody would spend their money. But the Crest Development people were the only ones willing to come spend their money. But I heard about a grapevine that someone had offered to build on that property across the street, and they wanted to buy the property and give us a profit on the land. But they were going to do a grocery and a retail store, and he didn't say who it was. And my comments went back, well, okay, but if it comes to city council, unless we know absolutely what they're going to do with it, I'm going to vote no. We're not the enemy. Absolutely not the enemy. And I would have voted no, because I want to know what's going to go there, okay? And we haven't thrown the comprehensive plan away. They withdrew their request to change the zoning. Except that the city turned out like this and tell me they wanted to, I would not, because it doesn't fit with the comprehensive plan. And I told some of you at the school and some of you in emails that I wouldn't do that. And I talked to the developer and told him I did not appreciate the way that they handled it, because it made the city look bad. We voted on a project that they started back in 2008, I believe, the Legacy Project. That wasn't just started. From 2008 we worked on that. And if this many people had shown up on all the planning sessions and all the meetings, okay, and the zoning, okay, but it may have turned out to be a better project than it did. But just like in my life at NASA, I couldn't do it by myself, and neither can this city council. And we need your help. And Amanda, bless your heart, okay? You brought up about your dog. Carrie did some good work on that, and we found an existing ordinance that allowed us to take care of the dog. And the comment was made, you can solve problems if you really want to. Well, first we need to be made aware of them, okay? And Walmart and Crest caught us totally by surprise, just as it did you. But at the same time, I still have to reiterate that we have to know that the problem exists before we can do anything about it. Now, that problem came up as a result of a dog ordinance that was brought up at the last city council meetings. And we voted that down. And I'm a dog lover. If I turn on my cell phone or my iPad right now, the opening screen will show you a picture of my little puppy that just passed away. Can't take it off. But we didn't pass the dog ordinance because had we passed the dog ordinance, 80 to 9, well, I'm going to say 99.5% of the people in Poquoson would have been subject to undue legislation and undue court if we passed that. One of the requirements in that ordinance said that if you were off your property and your dog was on a leash, okay, that was illegal. Well, my puppy went to the garage with me when I went to the garage. Where I went, she went. And when she went to the garage with me, I put her on a leash. And I had a blanket in the garage, and she laid on the blanket, and she sat beside me while I worked in the garage, because that's where she wanted to be, and that's where I wanted her. But she was on that leash because if a rabbit or a squirrel had run by, she was gone, and she may well have been run over. And that ordinance stated that she couldn't be on a leash any more than an hour. Well, I was in the garage for 8 hours sometimes, and so was she. That would have put me subject to the law. Somebody could roll by it. Saw Bud with a dog. Had on a leash at 9 o'clock, 10:30 still there, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Need to call the dog warden. And I have to defend myself in court because my dog was on a leash more than an hour. Okay. Also said I had to be on the property if my dog was on a leash, which technically meant that if I was in my garage working and my puppy was right there, which she would have been, and laying on her blanket, and the neighbor called over and said, Bud, would you come look at this? I said, yeah, sure. And if I walked across the line, somebody drives by, Bud, we saw you with your dog on a leash, and you were off the property. You're guilty. And if I go to the court, and the dog warden comes by, I have to defend myself in court, which is what all of y'all would have to do. Am I not making myself clear? Okay. The way the ordinance was written, that I had to be on my property if the dog was on a leash. So were I to step off my property and across the line, then technically I'm not on my property, and somebody who didn't like me could say, I saw Bud with his dog on a leash and he wasn't on his property, and I could technically have to defend that in court. And if the judge said, was your dog on a leash? I'd have to say yes. Were you on your property? I'd have to say no. okay? Guilty.
Hey, bud, can we?
All right, I'll back down, okay? I'm on a roll. My point out of all this, and there is a point, is that you can get more government than you want. That would not have been the intent of the dog ordinance, okay? The dog ordinance was intended to protect dogs that are badly mistreated. And it was to protect the people from dogs that may go after people. And we got the situation that was brought to us fixed because there was an existing ordinance. Now, there ought to be one to make it easier, but the point is, many times when you pass ordinances, you get unintended results. So we have to be careful what we ask for. We might just get it. And I'm going to cut this short. I'm wound up.
You blew that, bud.
I will back it off. I will apologize. But I want to tell you it's hard, okay? When your wife sees on the internet that you're lining your pockets and you're getting rich because you're doing something, or people say that, hey, you're not transparent, I'm going to tell you there's good people sitting here. And this is hard, and we need help, and we want to do what's best for the city. I'll shut up, Gene.
My turn? Okay. I'm going to go back to thank, I wanted to comment off, totally different subject. Steve Hurrow from Dominion Power. I just wanted to comment that we did have our individual power line from the street to our house buried a few years ago, and we've been very happy with it. So it is something that I look forward to seeing more of. It's been convenient. We have had floods since then, and there's not been a problem. So I'm a big proponent of that. Another thing I wanted to comment on, we mentioned, one of the things we voted on tonight was spending $10,000 for Davenport. And as we were voting on that, I realized, you know, somebody coming in and looking at our financials might say, wow, they're spending $10,000 on financial advice. You know, who spends that kind of money? Why are they, that's a lot of money to spend, you know, that we don't have. Why are they spending that? But if you're uninformed, that looks like a crazy thing to do. But if you listened to what the mayor said and know the facts and know how much they've saved us and earned for us, then that was a really good investment. And this comes back to the whole Walmart issue, which is a lot of people have been talking about a lot of things and saying a lot of negative, nasty things. And something about a shadow government, I'm not even sure what that is, but, you know, calling us.
I believe they got half of my paycheck, though.
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, which is so much, right?
That'd be $50.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we make $100 a month doing this job, right? And that's before taxes and FICA and all those, whoever he is, right? Tonight, Shannon Dalrymple said that this was a sneaky deal and we were irresponsible and reprehensible. Huh?
I said the developer.
Okay.
Well,
let's go.
Nasty words were being used.
Let's go on.
Towards us. I'm offended. My feelings are hurt. I am a volunteer. I've been reading it on, excuse me, I'm speaking. I have the floor. I've been reading online. I actually quit reading online. But nastiness, meanness, lies, rumors. I didn't know anything about Walmart until other people told me. No, we didn't know it was a Walmart. I have wondered, did I drop the ball? Should I have known it was a Walmart? Could I have known it was a Walmart? I've struggled with that. No. I keep coming back to the fact that, no, that's not my lane. I am here as an elected official to vote on certain legal matters. We have city staff who does a certain job. There are ordinances that that exist to guide the way that the city is run. If somebody is doing something legal, there's no reason for me to know about it. If somebody wants to change a law, sure, then I should know about it. But there was no reason for me to know about any particular business that was coming to town. Now, maybe is the way that our ordinance set up currently, should it be changed? Probably. I think some very, very good points were made tonight. The idea that the comprehensive plan is or is not a legal document. Wayne, I would like some more clarity on that. Who invokes that? Can that be invoked?
We invoke it, but I'll touch on the comp plan during my comments.
Okay, thank you. That's a question that I would like clarification on. Is it something that we can instruct the planning department to adhere to when they're making a review? How much is a traffic impact study? Is that something that would
I'll talk about
be
that.
cost prohibitive? These are my comments that I would like answers to. I do think that the point of entering into a contract without knowing who the retailer is not a good way for a city to run business. So some of these points that were made try to these points are very good points, and I appreciate the fact that you're participating. I thank you for bringing them to our attention. Thank you. Please come more frequently. Send emails. Put your names into the boards and commissions applications.
Yes.
I'm done here November of 2016. If you live in the Eastern District and want to sit here, come talk to me. I can train you for this. The one thing that I've been here for two terms. This is my second term. And the one thing that I think that I bring to this is that I'm a female and I have a different perspective than other people here. I'm younger than everybody too.
That's the main thing.
And I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Hold on, point of order on that one. All right, no, go ahead.
So you know, I think I bring some diversity to this panel. So if you want to be trained, I'm happy to. It's $100 a month. So anyway, but please volunteer. We do appreciate you here. We're not upset over hearing what we hear, but we also want to be very, very careful that we're not breaking any laws. So if you think that we're not jumping in with you, we hate Walmart, we're on your side, we're not going to say that. You're not going to hear that from any of us. That would be wrong and probably illegal.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Vice Mayor.
Well, I had a whole lot I was going to say, but Bud used all my time. I'm in approximately 100-year-old civic organizations, and we cannot mobilize and get the people out and up and down the streets like y'all did. So I find that to be very impressive, and just wanted y'all to know that. Just two things. We're not against the people, and citizens do have an input. And I've got 4 pages of notes here that I've taken tonight to think about. And I'd like to have some time to do that before I say anything else.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bernal.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank folks for the civility with which you addressed the issues. I realize it's a very emotional thing. You have very strong feelings about it, and you expressed yourselves in an appropriate way, and I certainly do appreciate that. I would like to clarify one little thing that was made about a VOTEC school. Our students have access to a marvelous VOTEC school. It is New Horizons. It offers a curriculum that's far broader than we could ever offer here just for our students. And it is not just for high school students. They have an adult program as well. It's very inexpensive, training people in all the various skills, even some mechanics for Henry. And we also have a very reasonably priced community college where you can pursue those same kind of skills. So I think that issue is pretty well taken care of, and we certainly couldn't offer anything to compare with New Horizons just for our students because of the broad curriculum that they do have there. I want to address another issue that Councilwoman Crawford did, and that's about the VEPCO bearing the lines. I live on Sandy Bay Drive, which you may know is right on the river, and we've had numerous outings. Most of our houses there have lines coming from the main line underground to our houses. Well, last Friday in the storm, one of the lines came down and set a marsh on fire, 2 doors down from me. And we were without power for about 3 hours, so I would be delighted to see that that entire action take place, because that was just a bit inconvenience. And on a note that I hope doesn't upset people, but this is one of those facts of life that our form of government has a funny little caveat called the free enterprise system. We have to tread very carefully when we are dealing with anything that actually violates the privileges of people to exercise that. So please understand that we don't have the grand gavel to say, no, can't do. We even got some comments from people who said, well, it'd be nice if we had a Trader Joe's or a Fresh Market. Somebody even suggested a Kroger. Now, if you want some competition, bring a Kroger in and see what happens. So I just want to mention that you know, we do have to follow the rule of law, and as difficult as that may seem at times, we don't have a big choice in that. Thank you.
Buddy? I just want to thank everybody for coming. We really do appreciate the input. I'd just like to make a comment about what was mentioned about the legacy. It's a shame that all those wetlands that you want to save were created by the Virginia Department of Highways. In a money-saving effort in the 1970s when they built that road, instead of paying to haul the spoil off from the ditch they dug, they cast it on the side, and it blocked the drainage for the property. And the developer actually tried to create the wetlands on his site. It wasn't us that had the idea not to do that. It was our infinite federal government and state government that said, no, you cannot do that. You've got to buy off-site mitigation. So here again, it's not the city council asking that developer to go mitigate in Gloucester. It's our wonderful federal government and state government telling him he has to. On a lighter note, we served a record number of people at the last food bank last Tuesday, 66 families, that equates to 216 people. So. I want to thank the fine folks from Tabernacle Church for helping us. They did a great job, and it's not an easy task. We have a lot of stuff to unload and hand out, and they did it joyfully, and it was very rewarding.
And you're still on the board there at New Horizons, is that correct?
I am on the New Horizons Foundation, and
so anybody wants to know about
that is an absolute wonderful organization, and we couldn't duplicate that if we wanted to. It's a great organization, and I just wish the school systems that we serve were more aware of our services. And as far as citizen input, I'd much rather you pick up the phone and call me, because I am that kind of person. I'm just too old to deal with internet. But my number's in the book. It's published by a lot of people at the last meeting, and I don't mind picking up the phone and calling me. I'd much rather talk to you than try to figure out what I'm trying to say in an email, what you're trying to say in an email. So, thank you.
Very good. Henry?
I defer my time to Bud. Well, unlike Tracy, I enjoy reading the emails and Facebooks late at night. I stay up, it's good entertainment. And actually some of it's very informative. We learn a lot. I got on council 2 years ago, and I was excited about getting on council. I was excited all these people would be coming to the meetings and showing up at meetings, and lo and behold, nobody comes. Nobody comes. It was disappointing. This is encouraging to see the community input that we're receiving for this, but it was disheartening when I got elected and nobody was coming to the meetings. Someone said talking about keeping business in Poquoson. I cannot emphasize that enough. Since I've been on council, I think we have opened 14 to 15 businesses. I believe 12 have closed. One of the major grocery stores in the community is 3 years in a row have declining revenue stream to the city. I bet they have. 3 years in a row. If you think the corporate office will continue to see that decline happening, you're mistaken. They're a business. If we don't support these grocery stores, these small stores, mom and pop shops, some of these are, they'll be gone anyway. So if you want to see your businesses stay in Poquoson, I think some of us better be shopping a little bit more in Poquoson. And it's easy to say what we're going to do, and then we don't do it. And I'm guilty of it myself. I'll see folks at Walmart down in York County. I'll see folks at the Farm Fresh in York County, Kroger's in York County, and I don't see them in Poquoson. And I'm guilty of it myself. So all of us together, if we want to make our community stronger, we better make it stronger. If not, we will lose businesses, and it won't be nobody's fault but our own. It won't be Walmart's. It won't be anybody else's but our own. So I hope to see some more people in these shops when I'm in there myself. You know, as a lot of folks know, I'm certainly anti-big government, and the government is supposed to be for the people, by the people. And I really believe the people have spoken in this community, loud and clear, and I think we all got a message. I am hoping and hopeful that with council, that we can see what we can do and look at some changes that can be made and implemented so that people have a little bit more voice. I would rather have more voice on what we're doing in the city. And I'm hopeful that we can do something along those lines so that we can have more input, so that people's voices can truly be heard. And that's what government's all about. Y'all put us up here, and you put us up here, and I heard people say that the landscape, of the political landscape can change, and y'all can take us away from here. Good news is, I'm not running again anyway. My seat will be open too. So anybody can have it, and be prepared to get what comes along with it. A lot of us have been very positive. And I have tried to respond to every email with the exception of this week that I received over the last couple of weeks. This week I'm a little bit slow, I'm a little bit behind. I've tried to respond, even to some of the negative emails that I received, very negative, pointing fingers, name calling, to the point I just decided not to respond to those emails. But you know, I understand the passion of this. But I do hope that with council, Mr. Moore can find out what we can do in our legal rights. Because the components of what we're looking at now do not match up with our comprehensive plan. I read the comprehensive plan over and over again myself. I'm as concerned as each and every one of y'all are about everything you've talked about tonight. Trust me, every single one of us up here has the same concerns. We're all like you people, except we took a chance to run for these offices to help make our communities better. That's what we got up here for. We don't want to make them worse. We want to make them better. And I'm so appreciative of the people's voices being heard. And I'm hearing you loud and clear. And I do hope, as Tracy alluded to, I hope more people will get involved. There's a lot of room for people to be involved in this city, and a lot of people are. And but I hear you, and again, I implore Mr. Moore to do what he can to look into this, to see where we are, what can be done. So we can try to be more in line with our comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate everybody coming out here tonight. Really do. Great things are said. I've been doing this a while, and I will tell you that I serve with a very open and impassioned group of council people that think about Poquoson every day. I can tell you that. 3 things that disturbed me tonight about what I heard. There was a lot of comments and very much